We're going to dive into today's mind reset and really focus around this topic of self-image. Now, I'm continually reminded at the power of self-image when it comes to life in general, but really specifically in entrepreneurship as well, because you will never go beyond where you believe that you can go. And your belief system is very much based upon your own personal self-image. You know, what am I capable of doing? And what am I worth? And all these questions that we have. And I think for many of us, we get wrapped up in this idea that we're not worthy of certain things, or we don't think we're good enough, or we lack the confidence to go out and take action on, things in our business or things in our life, the things that we really want to do. And throughout my journey, what I had found was that I was never going to go very far unless I had developed a certain level of confidence. And if you've heard me speak at all, you know that one of the first goals I've set when I sat down with a pen and a piece of paper was simply to become a confident individual, to be able to walk out in public or in a shopping center and feel comfortable, to feel calm and serene. And the more I learned about self-image, the more I learned how crucial it is that we start to shift the self-image in order to create what it is that we want. Now, I've talked a lot about goals before, and while it's important to have a goal, we do not attract in our life what it is that we want, but rather we attract from who we are, from that internal dialogue, from what we think inside. In fact, I believe it was William James who said, "We think in secret and it comes to pass. Environment is but our looking glass." You see, it's not just what you're thinking on a conscious level that creates your life. It's what you think on a deep subconscious level, deep in your psyche. That's what creates the life that you live. And what I want to dive into today and really kind of bring to the surface for you is this idea of self-image, where it started, how it was created, and how you can begin to shift the self-image to create the life that you want to live and to create the confidence that you so desire to go out and do those things that you want to do, right? This is a crucial piece if you're in entrepreneurship. Now you might be thinking, well, that's not really a big deal. It's all about the systems and it's about the strategies and marketing. And while all that, I agree is important, we have to remember that you're never going to go beyond your self-image. You will never outperform your self-image. And I know this to be true because when I was at the very start of my journey, feeling very self-conscious, a very limited view of myself, I didn't really believe in me. I didn't go very far. And I wouldn't even attempt to do many of the strategies and the systems and things like that because I didn't believe I was good enough. And so starting at the self-image here as a foundation for everything is absolutely essential. And so to start us off here today, because I'm going to dive into a few things, but I want to start off by reading a little bit from one of the programs that we run called Thinking and Results from one of our participants' guides. And there's an entire chapter here, an entire lesson on self-image. And I wanted to just start off by pointing out a few of the key points here that may really resonate with you. And so again, if you're watching one of these mind reset lessons here, I encourage you to grab a pen and a piece of paper and take notes. This is essential because it's going to create thinking in your mind. It's going to cause you to feel different things, and it's going to cause you to step out and take action on the things that we're talking about here today. So the first point here is that you have programmed into the deep recesses of your mind a perception of what you are, who you are, and what you're worth. This is referred to as an inner self-image. It's literally a control mechanism that determines what comes into your life and how well you do. Now, you also have an outer image, And it is the one that is projected to the world by the way you walk, talk, dress, and meet and greet other people. That image is the outer expression of the inner image. And so we've got this inner image inside, and then we express an outer image through the way that we do things, our mannerisms, the way we walk, talk, meet and greet other people, right? Now, your results are always a reflection of what's going on internally. Your results are always a reflection of what's going on internally. And if you have a negative or bad image of yourself, your results are going to be a reflection of that image. You know, if you want to know what your self-image is like, just take a look at your results. Just take a look at what's going on in your life, and that'll tell you what's programmed in your mind. Now, it's not something to get upset at. Please do not beat yourself up if you're not getting the results that you want in your life. Let results just be a form of feedback for you to tell you where your mind was at. And then what you're going to learn here today is how to alter that, how to create new images in the mind so that that becomes a new outer expression and ultimately changes the way we show up in our life, and it changes the results that we get, right? And so the self-image that is fixed in your subconscious will determine how the rest of the world will see you. Now, here's a crucial piece right here. You are the only person in the entire world that has the ability to alter or improve your self-image. We've got to understand that there is an image of perfection that is resident in the center of your consciousness. Now, you may find that hard to believe, and I know it was for me in the very beginning too, to really understand that, but there is an image of perfection within you. And the more you move in the direction of that image, the more your life will improve. There's no end to the good that you can experience as you develop a greater awareness of the perfection that does lie within you. And that's really all I aim to do here on every single one of these calls, and every aspect of what I do in my business is to help you tap into the perfection that lies within you, to tap into the potential that lies within you. Because the more you get in harmony with that, the more you're going to express it, the more you're going to bring that to the surface. And the cool part is that as you bring this to the surface in one area of your life, you start to see improvements in almost every area of your life because they're all interconnected. I often say that a win in one area is a win in all areas. And so a small change in a person's self-image can actually create a massive change in a person's results if they're willing to put in the work in altering that self-image. Now, it's not going to be, it's not going to be a ton of work, and it's not going to be hard manual labor, but it is going to take a certain level of thinking. And most people don't think. Earl Nightingale said if most people said what they were thinking, they would be speechless. So I want to get you to really think here so that we can bring a lot of these unconscious inner dialogues to the surface and become aware of the way we're treating ourselves, the way we talk to ourselves, why we do what we do, so that we can start to create the results that we want in our life, in our relationships, and in your business. Yeah. So grab your pen, grab a piece of paper, and let's dive into things. I'm going to pop up my screen here and share something with you. All right. So when we talk about creating change, I think every single one of us wants to create change in some kind. And we want to grow. And in order to grow, we must change. Change is absolutely inevitable. But your personal growth here is a choice. And so you've got to make a decision right now that you're going to grow, that you're going to expand into the person that you really know that you are inside. Now, let's make this clear that it's not that you're creating something that you're not here when we talk about self-image. What we're doing is we're We're drawing out what already exists within you. What already exists within you. You know that level of confidence that you want? You've already got it. You know that level of calmness that you desire? You've already got it, right? That level of success that you want to feel? You've already got it. It's just about getting in harmony with it and letting the old thoughts and feelings die due to lack of nourishment. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And so let's start off by talking about the two things that we need to know in order to create change. And so first and foremost is we've got to know where we are. In order to create change, we've got to know where we are. And number two is we've got to know where we are going. Right? This is like the star that you're shooting towards. Call it a goal. And all we need to do here is start moving in that direction. You know where you are, and then you decide where you're going to go. In a previous mind reset, we talked about setting goals that are worthy of you as an infinite being. And so, you know, if we're having trouble in our lives and we're feeling stuck, a person may say, well, you know, they don't have goals. And we'll point to that and we'll say, well, maybe that's the problem. But if you do a little bit of digging and you start talking to people, you'll soon realize that almost everybody has some form of a goal. They may not be really stretching. They may not be anywhere near what they're capable of doing, but to some degree, we all have a goal. It could be just to get out of bed in the morning. We all have some kind of direction that we want to move into. And so that's not the problem here. Where the problem lies and where we get stuck is in understanding where we are. Where am I? Where am I? Now, I'm not talking about where you are physically. You know that. What I'm talking about is where you are mentally. Why you think the way you think and feel the way you feel. Right? Where are you in here? And there's a word that I want to share with you that you've probably heard from me if you've studied any of the material that we teach. And that word is paradigm. Just type in the chat, have you ever heard the word paradigm? We're going to dive into this today because paradigms are so closely related here to self-image. Now, to put it really simply, a paradigm is a collection of habits and beliefs that have almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior, meaning that you give no conscious thought to this, right? Like when you wake up in the morning, you don't really have to think about what you do. You get up and you go into your normal routine. You put your pants on the same way, you brush your teeth, you have your morning, morning coffee, morning breakfast, whatever it may be. And we don't give any conscious thought to this. Paradigm. It's a collection of habits and beliefs that control the way that we act. And the paradigm is stuck in our subconscious minds. And in order to change, in order to create new results, we must alter the paradigm. It doesn't matter what kind of goals you set. It doesn't matter what you decide you want to go after, right? What did we say? The self-image sets the boundaries for your individual accomplishment. The self-image sets the boundaries. And so let's say you have a very limited self-image and you think, man, I'd really love to do some of these things. I really love to earn this in my business, or I'd love to make this kind of impact in my life. But I really don't believe or feel that I'm capable of that, or I don't feel like I'm worthy of that, let's say. And so you get going along from where you are and wham, you hit the boundary of your self-image and you stop right there and you'll bounce right back to where you were before. And so the problem isn't in the goal setting. The problem lies in the way we view ourselves, right? the way we, if you were to meet you, would you like you? If you were to meet you, would you like you? I remember hearing that question from my mentor, Bob, and that was a tough one because at the time, I really didn't like me. And if I were to come across me at that time, I wouldn't like me. I mean, looking back now, I know I was a pretty great guy, but I didn't feel that inside. And therefore, everything I continued to do never really amounted to anything. And I never really got anywhere because I really didn't believe in me. And what I found was that the more you study you, the more you're going to believe in you. And the more you study yourself, the more you believe in yourself, the more you're going to love yourself. You realize how phenomenal you really are. You start to get into the topics of paradigms, your mind, your infinite potential that lies within you, who you really are, and your connection to all that there is. And you start to go, wow, like I am something special. And so is everybody else. We're all cut from the same cloth here. And we're just phenomenal human beings. And each and every one of us has got something unique and special to bring to the table. And I hope that through lessons like this, you start to realize that and you start to draw that out of you. And this is that second half of education that I talk about sometimes, which is to draw out. Education is a two-part thing. We want to train and mold based on past experiences so that we don't repeat history. But we also want to give people the opportunity to draw out what already lies within. You've already got everything you need. You've got it all inside. All the knowledge there ever was or ever will be is 100% evenly present in all places at the same time, which means it's in you. And you just got to get in harmony with that. So let's talk about the self-image and how it was created, and how we go about altering that. So let's take a look at the image of our mind here. This is you, an image of you. And the top half here is your conscious mind. The bottom half is your subconscious mind. And of course, down here, we have your body. And throughout our lives, we've got a ton of information that is rushing in through the conscious mind. We've got, things like news, TV, maybe radio, other people's opinions, and they're all flowing in through the mind. And we start to pick up on these things through our sensory factors. They're like little antennae that stick out on the conscious mind. We can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And that's how we've been trained to operate within our world. And as it flows into the mind, we start to build images, possibly a negative image based on what we're mentally involved in here. And we take that image and over time, we start to impress it upon our subconscious minds. And that negative image gets set into the subconscious mind. And the interesting part about the subconscious is that it has no ability to reject an idea. It absolutely must accept the idea. It's like the earth, it's amoral. And so whatever you plant in the earth, it grows, right? If you plant a carrot seed, it doesn't come back to you and say, no, you didn't want carrots, you wanted lettuce. I'm going to grow that. No, it grows whatever you plant. And so if you plant a negative thought seed in your mind, that's what's going to grow. And so it gets planted in the mind, and whatever is impressed upon the subconscious mind must be expressed with and through the body. And then we start taking action. All right. This is kind of how we operate here. But let's take a look here at where we were as infants and how the self-image was created. Because in your subconscious mind, like I said, you have that paradigm. And that paradigm is really your self-image. It's really your self-image. And this is what's creating the results. And because we're in harmony with maybe a negative idea here, all we tend to think is negative ideas because we're programmed that way. Now, throughout my journey, I've taken a lot of time to shift that and go from a place of habitually thinking of the negative to now when something happens just like that, I start looking for the good. Now you can do that too, but you got to train your mind to do it. These are like these mental exercises that we do. So now let's take a look at you as an infant. This is you as an infant. You had no conscious mind. Between the ages of 0 and 7, roughly, you had no conscious mind. You had no ability to reject ideas. The conscious mind can accept or reject ideas. You didn't have that ability, but you still had the same information rushing in through your mind. News, parents, media, radio, all kinds of stuff rushing in through the conscious mind. And this is where your self-image was created. The way that you view you, right? You see, we learn through experience. We learn by immersing ourselves into things, not necessarily by what we hear, but what we experience, what's going on around us. We're truly products of our environment. We're programmed genetically at the moment of conception. And so all the thinking from our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents and so on and so on and so on is already there. The thinking is already there. And you see that throughout families, throughout cultures, throughout communities. You tend to think the same way that your parents thought. And your parents tend to think roughly the same as how their parents thought, right? You can even see it through the food that we eat. You eat what your parents ate, and your parents ate what your grandparents ate, and it just all gets passed down. But then at about the age 7, we start to develop a conscious mind, and we start to accept or reject different ideas, and we start to learn through our environment. And this is where our self-image is created, and this is the paradigm. And so here we are at an infant's age, and then later in life, we start to develop the conscious mind, and we enter into adulthood, but we're still operating with the old paradigm. We're still operating with an image in our mind of what was planted in there years ago, and it's no longer serving us. It's no longer serving us, yet we still operate based on this. And we continue to get results, not from the positive ideas that we're creating in our conscious mind now, but we get results based on the paradigm. And so you can think positive all day long, but if you don't change the paradigm, you still get the same results. You see, I often say that positive thinking really just does not work unless you take and internalize and emotionalize that positive thinking, right? You know, it's like all these books that we read. You know, I've showed you about, thinking the results. Another phenomenal book that you may want to get into is Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. It's probably the best book on self-image psychology that you'll ever come across. But, you've got to take this book and you've got to internalize it. Otherwise, it becomes what we call shelf help. Are your books that you study, are they on the shelf or are they in you? Because that's going to make all the difference. You've got to get these books and these ideas really internalized inside so that you start acting on them and you start experiencing the information that's laid out in here and the information that I'm giving to you here in these mind resets, right? So that's how the self-image was really created. And so we're all kind of operating based on an outdated system. And you think about the phones that we have, and every once in a while we update the programs that are in here so that it runs better. It's got new functions and new programs, all kinds of stuff. But we very rarely do that with ourselves. We very rarely do that with ourselves. We go throughout life and we turn into adults who are still operating with the mind of a child, per se. And the paradigm is still in control. And when paradigms stay in control, nothing changes. Paradigms are a mental program that have almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. You give no conscious thought to these. You just act, you just do it. And so what we want to do is we want to become aware. Awareness is the name of the game here. And as you become aware of what your paradigms are, how to change them, and the paradigms that you want to create, you see, you can't take that awareness away. I know I'm not going back to the person I used to be. This is who I am now. It's become permanent. I have so ingrained it into my mind that there's just no other way of living. But at the time when I first started that, I didn't even think how I'm living now would be possible. But I followed the process. I followed the system that was laid out that my mentors were telling me to do. I didn't believe them at the time, but I just kept doing it. I reserved my judgment for at least 21 days. And you've got to do the same when you start information like this. Reserve your judgment for at least 21 days. You've got to let it work for you. And when you think about it, these ideas that were planted in our mind at a very early age didn't just go like that. It was over and over and over again. And they started to root. And so the only way to change the paradigm now is the same way that it was planted in there. So the constant spaced repetition of a new idea. You've got to get a new idea and a new image locked into your mind. And through the use of a process called autosuggestion, we keep impressing it upon there. And we begin to loosen the soil of the old conditioning. And we start to create new. Start to create a new one. Let's take a look at how that works. So here's you. This is you in your mind. And we are image creators. We're image creators. You have a power that is flowing into your consciousness. And that power just is. It's neither positive and it's neither negative. It just is. And I choose to call this power spirit. You can call it God, you can call it energy, you can call it source, you can call it whatever you want. But we know that there is an unlimited source of power flowing to and through you at any given moment. And it's through the use of that power that we create images. Your mind works in pictures, and you create images in your mind. Now you can create them positive, you can create them negative, but the power just is. And it's how we think that determines this use of this great power. And so let's say for today, we're talking about self-image. You're creating a positive image of who and what you are. You're creating a positive image and you start impressing that upon your mind. But what we have to understand is as you impress that upon your mind, you have a paradigm that is in your subconscious mind. And it's not in harmony with the new image. You see, when I first started writing out, I am so happy and grateful now that I am a confident, calm, and serene individual. And I started to impress that upon my mind. I got very uncomfortable. Why? Well, because I was impressing a positive idea into my mind that had a negative idea in the subconscious mind. I was programmed to think negatively about myself. And this is like mixing oil and water. They just don't mix. And it causes you to move into a very uncomfortable feeling, a very uncomfortable vibration. Vibration is a natural law of the universe. Everything vibrates, everything moves. And it's through the altering of the images that we hold in our mind, and ultimately the altering of the paradigm that alters the vibration we're in and alters what we attract into our lives. And you can start to see here as we're going along the power in self-image when it comes to entrepreneurship or creating your business. Because you can think positive all day long and you can set goals all day long, but unless this changes, not a lot is going to change. It just becomes wishful thinking. Just becomes wishful thinking. So I want to read a short section here from Psychocybernetics. Dr. Maxwell Maltz says the self-image is the key to human personality and human behavior. Change the self-image and you change the personality and the behavior. He says the self-image sets the boundaries of individual accomplishment. It defines what you can and cannot do. Right? Expand the self-image and you expand the area of the possible. Now he goes on to say that positive thinking does indeed work, but only when it's consistent with the individual's self-image. And it literally cannot work when it is inconsistent with the self-image, right? Until the self-image itself has been changed. We've got to change the self-image. And so we can think positively all day long up here. But until we start to create a positive image down here, doesn't matter what we think up here. Now, how do we go about changing that deep conditioning? Well, there's two ways really. One is through what we call shock or an emotional impact. This is usually negative, can be positive sometimes, but it's usually negative. I think back to about 5-6 years ago now, when my dad had passed away. That was a huge emotional impact for me. And it changed the way that I view myself and view life in general. And it started to alter that deep-rooted conditioning in my mind. Now, we don't always want to go around looking for emotional impacts to create change. And so the second way is through repetition, constant spaced repetition of a new idea. So you've got your mind here. You've got the new image that you're creating. And we want to keep impressing that upon our mind over and over and over again. Now, the paradigm is still there, and it's going to cause you to feel kind of uncomfortable as you impress this new idea upon your mind. But if you keep doing this, I know from experience that if you keep doing this, you keep writing out a statement for yourself, a positive affirmation, if you want to call it, a positive description of who and what you are or who you really want to be. And you keep impressing that upon your mind. And you got to get emotionally involved with this. You got to do it over and over again, and you got to get emotionally involved with it. You're going to keep impressing this new idea upon your subconscious mind, and it must accept the idea. And pretty soon, that old conditioning starts to fade away. And then the positive affirmation that you're saying on your conscious mind actually starts to become believable. You start to think, I think I can do this. I think this is really going to happen. And you keep up with this for 30, 90 days, you are going to believe that without a question, it's going to happen. Just as sure as it's going to get dark tonight, you know that the image that you have in your mind is going to take form. And you keep impressing that upon your mind. And pretty soon you start actually acting on it. You act on this, right? Now, and as you act, you create results. And it's the feedback you get from taking action on the new images that you're holding in your mind that start to create confidence. Confidence will not be found in a book. The steps to create confidence may be found in here, The inspiration to go out and act on things may be found in here. The awareness may be found in here, but you will not develop confidence by reading a book. You can only develop confidence by building the image in your mind of who you want to be, getting emotionally involved with that idea, and then stepping out and taking action on the new idea. This is what we call the actor's technique. Act as if. And I guarantee you, you show up and you act as if you are the person you want to be, you're going to start to feel like that. You're going to start to become that. And just like the actor reads the script, memorizes the script, internalizes the script, and becomes the script, so can you as you start to write out the script of your life and the script of who you want to be. And that's all I did. I sat down with a pen and a piece of paper and wrote out a description of the person I wanted to become and the life that I wanted to live. And time again, I keep achieving it because I just keep following the process here. I keep following what's laid out here. These are based upon principles here, really understanding the difference between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind and how self-image fits into this. All right. Now, it's not about your intellect. It's not about what you know. It's about how you experience things. And so I encourage you to go out there today and create experiences for yourself that produce a certain level of confidence, that place you in the experience that you want to have, right? Like if you want to become a speaker, let's say, get out and do some speaking. Create your dream in miniature. Now, you may be scared as hell doing it the first time, but if you keep up with it, and it's a balancing act between you're taking action, but you're also working on the mind. This is the foundation. You're working on the mind, and then you're also taking action based on the new images that you have in there. And if you keep doing this, you are going to alter your self-image, and you're going to start to attract some brand new things into your life based upon the new image that you have. And you're going to start to see outer reality literally shaping itself upon the model of your imagination. It's going to shape itself upon that. Your world is a reflection of the image that you hold inside. And so if you can see it in here, you can create it out there. You just got to get the image right and really bring some clarity to it and add some emotion to it and follow the steps that are laid out here for you, right? Now, I want you to reserve judgment on this, like I said, for at least 21 days. Because if you start this tomorrow, you sit down, you write out the description of who you want to be, and you start reading that to yourself, for 3 days, you may not see any results. Don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you. Keep going, reserve judgment. Just keep telling yourself, I see myself like that. I am this. Speak in the present tense. Keep doing it, keep doing it. And after about 21 days, 30 days, you're going to start to believe that this is possible. You're going to start to see evidence of it in your external results. That's going to build belief. That's going to build confidence. You're going to start taking action on those things, which is really going to compound in the creating of confidence. And you're going to start to notice your entire world change. You see, it takes 30 days to build a habit, but it takes about 90 days for you to build a lifestyle. And so if you're in the personal development realm and you're reading books and you're watching videos and you're in all this, you got to keep doing it. And you got to make it part of your lifestyle if you want it to work. And this is a common thing that I see, is that a lot of people get involved in material like this, but they read it here and they listen to it over there. And it's whenever it's convenient. They'll throw in an audio or they'll watch a video, but it's not really part of their lifestyle. They'll think, oh, that's pretty cool. And you may be watching this video and think, yeah, makes sense. And then you'll go out and You'll do whatever else it is that you do in your day, and you'll never give it any thought. And so that's why I tell people to write things down and to commit to things like 30 days in impressing this new image on there. Get involved in some of the material that we have. If you'd like to learn more, reach out to me, and we'll definitely put you in touch with some of the programs that we run, get you involved in something, get you involved in a community of people where you can surround yourself with information like this, because we're a product of our environment. And if you surround yourself with others who are in the same process of developing themselves, improving their lives, setting goals that are in harmony with them as an infinite being, you're going to go places. You're going to feel so good about yourself, and you're going to continue to see improvement. And I think that's what success is really all about. It's not about you getting to where you want to be. It's about the progressive realization of a beautiful image that you have for yourself. Earl Nightingale gave us this beautiful definition of success when he said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. A worthy ideal. Who is it that you really want to be? Right? How do you want to live your life? What kind of experiences do you want to have? What kind of impact do you want to make through your business? Take time today to jot that down. And then reach out to me and ask, what's the next step here? How do I take this further? How do I really impress this upon my subconscious mind? Fantastic. Well, with that being said, I hope you gained something from today. Leave in the comments below a big takeaway from today, or something that you're going to take action on. What are you going to do today because of the information that was shared in today's Mind Reset? Wonderful. Well, it's fantastic to be with you. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and stay tuned for some more videos coming out, and we'll see you next week for another Mind Reset. Take care.